So how do I handle it? It's a big question, and it's one actually I just worked through, and I was nervous, and I didn't really know because I am a very compassionate person, and I want to be there for people. I want them to feel alone. I don't want them to feel lost. But one of the main things that I realize is that by comforting somebody and telling them lies, that I don't actually facilitate them into being able to live in love, to live in higher vibrations. I only facilitate their delusion. So my personal boundary and what I do is I tell the truth. I tell the truth straight up about how I see it, because in every single conflict, both people are messing up. Because if one person wasn't, if one person was high vibes, there would be no conflict. So if you always look for what you're doing and point fingers at yourself so you can change and stop pointing fingers at others, then it's much easier to create transformation. So I always tell people, yeah, I understand how you feel. Man, that's really heavy. How does it relate to you? How does it relate to your past? How does it relate to your experiences? How does it relate to your ability to communicate this truth to this person? How does it make you feel? And I always bring it back at them, because the more that they talk about this other person, in fact, this is one of the main guidelines I'm suggesting is don't let other people talk about somebody to you, especially negative. Positive is okay, but if they come to you and they're like, oh man, I don't like how this person's been drinking, it makes me uncomfortable, and then somebody else is like, oh, I don't like this, and this is going to get me in the series of the next videos, gossip and reputation, and why people have negative reputations, and how gossip gets out of control and spreads misinformation and disharmony. So getting back into my personal life, people come to me and I'm in a leader, fatherly position, and they look to me. They look to me for acceptance. They looked for me for love, because in our family situations it's been lacking much before. And so what do I offer them? I offer them love, of course, but I also offer them truth. Because if I facilitate their delusion, I only embody them to continue to broadcast an illusion that their problem is all in somebody else, and if they talk about it or point enough fingers, somehow they're gonna feel better. But it's not the truth. They feel bad because something's wrong with them, and that's what they need to realize. But I don't say something's wrong with you. That would be aggressive and that would be demeaning. And so I'm still trying to figure out what is the best way to let people know that if you feel something, it's your problem. Feelings are the language of your soul to communicate your path in life. This is my translation, and I would beg to differ that there is no universal or scientific understanding of what the soul is, or what feelings are, and what their purpose are. But obviously there is a purpose. They are there for something, and the something is to guide your consciousness to truth, to show you through force, emotional force, one which you cannot escape from, what truth is. And it will build and build until you discover where that truth is, and that's the release. And so my encouragement is to be loving, be compassionate, encourage people to be non-pointing, and don't point their feelings at others, and to reflect on why they feel that way. Why do you feel that way? Why does their words bother you so much? And I'll tell you what is often happening is one interaction will happen, right? One person gets their feelings hurt because the other person said something mean or was impatient or whatever it might be. Then this other person ingrains wronged. They feel wronged. And they're like, oh man. So the next time they see that person, they talk kind of chatty or like snappy, or just in their tone there is visible disharmony or audible disharmony. And this audible disharmony triggers the other person. And they're like, well, what did I do? I didn't do anything. And then they keep getting triggered, right? Because they keep like getting talked to negatively and aggressively and being put down. And then all of a sudden what happens is every time they come together, there's a escalating building problem just because they're butting heads, because that very first thing about whatever boundary or whatever thing they wanted to address was never addressed. So it spirals and it spirals and it spirals out of control. I'm going to come back to you in another one real soon.